Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sten McKinsey. I am one of the small part of the amazing faculty and staff at the School of Interactive Media at Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. Welcome to the 4th annual RIT Student Game Showcase Awards show. Here, basically what we do is we like to highlight the amazing games our students here at RIT make. We and our panel of judges from industry, academia, and academia review games submitted to the competition and choose the best of the best and award the students for their effort. But it doesn't stop there. Even the students that don't win get valuable feedback from these judges. Before we get started, I want to thank all of our sponsors and judges. The sponsors this year include Rockstar at New England, Santa Monica Studios, Epic Games, Epoch, From, and Mahi Gaming. Also want to thank the fantastic team of judges and thank you to everyone who volunteered their time to make the showcase happen this year. So we have 5 categories. We have aesthetics, game feel, game impact, technical excellence, and best in show. Throughout this event, I'm going to introduce each of the lead judges for their categories. They will then introduce their panel and what they were looking for their category. First up, we will do the aesthetics category, which I was the lead judge for. First, I'd like to thank the judges in this category. Sean Brennan, a game developer with Darkwind Media, Callie Mihova, material artist at AWS, and Sean Foster, the undergrad program director of the 3D digital design program here at RIT. Aesthetics, basically what aesthetics is and what we judge based on is how the visual and sound work together to support the theme and to evoke the desired emotional response from the players. So it's the interaction of the visual and sound and how it promotes the theme of the game. So there was a lot of great entries in this category. We had, I think, total, we had 24 different entries. While many had interesting takes on visuals and sound, 3 of them really came together and really kind of nailed it with the visual and sound supporting each other, working together to support that theme and give like a really cool environment for the gameplay. Ultimately, we had to choose one. So the one that we chose, please, was Vigorous by Hagicians. Here is, we have a representative from Hagicians, Huandong Zhang. Hello, Huandong. Are you there?
Yeah, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, great.
So why don't you tell us about your game and then also kind of tell us how you came up with your aesthetic.
Okay, so this game, initially this game was our capstone project. So from the beginning, we wanted to make a game that could take advantage of our skill sets without considering any other things. So actually we have 3 artists, one general 2D artist and 1 illustrator and 1 animator. So we come up with the story concept of a little girl adventuring through the virtual world with some weird creatures and designed the characters of Vigorous, Marty, and a mysterious big brother out of the virtual world. The story has a relatively bad ending because we are all fans of a Japanese animation work called Puella Madoka Magica. So the frame of this story becomes more like a science fiction in the end. And also the aesthetic style of the Dark Fairy Tale and the tailored soundtrack are also considered at the very beginning of the game. So the 3 boss levels took about half of the developing time because the patterns are designed bit by bit. We tried our best to make all the pieces united, including the story, level design, the art, and the music.
Well, you guys did a beautiful job. I tell you, when we saw the game right off the bat, it just blew us away. It's just a beautiful game. Everything works really nicely together. So I just want to congratulate you on that and tell you did an awesome job.
Thank you very much.
And thank the rest of the team for us because we really appreciate your entry. All right, so next up we have my favorite person from IGM, and that would be Eloise Oizen, or Wheeze as we call her here. And she's the lead of Game Feel. Here she is. All right, Wheeze, go ahead and take it.
All right, I have to mute the other feed. Hi there. I was judging the category of Game Feel. First, I would like to thank the judges who helped me out. We have Claude Jerome, who's alumni and lead gameplay designer at Firewalk Studios, Damon Kwiatkowski with Epic Games, Aiden Beck and Akash Bhatia, the founders of Epic, and Bernard McManus with Sony Interactive. We had some really interesting discussions about this category. First of all, what connotes Game Feel? There are a couple of things that we considered: onboarding, pacing, depth of expression, and very much agency. The things that contribute to Game Feel is basically the questions that get answered from the get-go, like who am I? What is my purpose? What can I do? Am I succeeding? Did I do the thing that you wanted me to do? Those were all the main things that we considered. And I think I would like to announce the winner and then talk about those things with the representative from the category about how well they succeeded. And those, everyone who submitted games succeeded in many ways regarding Game Feel. Then as we discuss and dissect what were considered, think about how you guys implemented it in your own games. So the winner is Project SP, and we have the representative, Dennis Lee.
Hello.
Hi, Dennis. Congratulations.
Hi. Thank you so much.
I can tell you to your face. One of the reasons why we unanimously decided that this was a strong contender was because from the get-go, while this is not a spoiler, the player didn't know who they were, there was that call to action the moment you started with an introduction of who am I, and you gave us little hints about where that could go. Onboarding was ridiculously simple. It was just do this thing, and then we'll give you a couple of clues, and you gave us directions on what to do as we went along. Really easy to play, and I felt like I was succeeding when I did. Can you talk a little bit about your intent for the player experience?
Project SP is definitely, at least I think it's a confusing experience. I think a lot of that attributes to the fact that this is currently just a demo. It's about the first 15-ish minutes of what the full game would be, but it's just an introduction of what this world is and kind of who this main character is. And we wanted to keep the introduction kind of cryptic, but kind of sprinkle enough hints to kind of tell where the story could lead, but not enough to make it like obvious that, oh, this is how this is going to end, that kind of thing. In terms of Game Feel, I think something I really I guess something I really put a lot of effort in to try to immerse the player in was the music, which within Project SP, there's this kind of dynamic music system where depending on the intensity of the situation, the music actually also ramps up in intensity, kind of in a dynamic way, no matter where you are in the track. I kind of wanted the music to reflect how the player felt in the moment. Like, for example, you're in a boss fight and the boss fight gets suddenly harder. And there's some panic to that, especially I saw while playtesting the game, a lot of people panicked in that moment. And having the music reflect that, I think, is a really, really nice way to kind of tell the player, like, yeah, this is how you're supposed to feel. Kind of like that.
Well played. I appreciated that there were spare interactions, but every interaction I had contributed to that feeling of I'm finding out who I am in the space. and that was good. It was spare, and everything meant something, including the audio, the aesthetics, the feedback. It was all there. So it was a good experience.
Thanks so much.
I
All
think
right,
that wraps it up.
excellent. So next up, we have my favorite person here at the School of
But didn't
Interactive.
you just say that about me?
So I'm gonna keep going here, Weeze, this is my time. My favorite person here at IGM, Ben Snyder.
Perfect. All right. So hopefully this is coming through because I'm trying to monitor the audio mix and all of my stuff at the same time. But game impact, right? So we've had talks about the aesthetics of the game, how games can feel. Those are really important things that games should have. But one of the things that's been kind of growing in the industry, and especially at IGM, are ways that we can make games that can have an impact and inspire change, right? And it's a really unique situation because you have to have an actual engaging interactive experience while still being able to make that impactful change. So we wanted to specifically highlight this by having its own category of game impact. And because of all the broad possibilities in terms of impact and how you can inspire people to change and stuff, this was a pretty difficult category to judge. All the games had really clear and meaningful goals, and there were value and potential in all of these games. So we had to narrow it down and focus on this from two different perspectives. So we're looking at the potential of the concept to inspire change, and the potential of the game in its current state to actually inspire that change via a fun, interactive experience. So before I go and announce the winner, I just want to do a quick thank you to our judges. We had Stella Lee, the Assistant Director of Diversity Education here at RIT, Ruben Brenner Adams, who's a game developer at Originator, Dustin Kokenspager, co-founder of DB Creations, and then finally, I just wanted to give a special thanks to Dr. Jennifer Schneider, the Fram Chair in Applied Critical Thinking, who not only helped judge this category, but also is sponsoring this particular category. And with all of that out of the way, the winner of the game impact category is, drumrolls down, Boiling Over by Plush Bunch. And we have Emily from Plush Bunch joining us. Hello. Congratulations.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank
I just hear me looping in the Twitch stream.
Gotta love that delay.
So I wanted to have you talk a little bit about the game, but before that, I just want to let you know why Boiling Over was chosen. It just does such a great job of bringing representation to a group that is underrepresented in games. And it does it in such a way that you're doing it with a very compelling narrative and gameplay, and that all just creates something that everybody can play with and understand and empathize with. And it just does a really great job of that. And so I just wanted to kind of hear you talk through this process a bit more and tell me a little bit more about the game and what your plan was starting out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to not get caught looking at the delay Twitch over there.
Yeah, that's why I have it on the third monitor way over to the side.
So our team actually didn't really know what we were going to make when we first came together. So this was a part of Erica Mesh's 601 class focused on processes. And she had us just pitch a bunch of ideas like in a big spreadsheet. And all I had suggested was something trans rights. And I managed to attract most, but not all, of the other LGBTQ folks in the class with this idea. And I was like, hey, so what are we going to make? I don't have any ideas. And we eventually settled, like we brainstormed a lot. And we settled on, like, what we researched was a lot of different, like, issues that, you know, sort of like what the silos of issues with trans, you know, in general trans rights are. And we ended up going with workplace discrimination, and that kind of led down the path of the sort of interesting dynamic of, you know, of the situation of being in a public-facing job, where laws start to like really become really undefined in this. There aren't really like, and then this can apply to other groups, but there's not really a lot of protocol out there for what do employers do when the customers are being discriminatory. So it's kind of expected in customer service that people are just going to have to deal with rude people or people who are impatient, etc. And that's what got us to this, because this was we thought this was an interesting dynamic. And that was kind of like the original core idea was, well, what can someone do, if anything, and what can management do? So, and also like, what can you, if anything, as a bystander do? So we kind of had those three perspectives going on here. And all three of those perspectives are currently in the game and our planned storyline for it.
Yeah, and that all came through in the gameplay, and that was awesome to see. And the other thing I wanted to mention, kind of talk to you about too, for those of you watching that had thought about submitting but didn't think your game was quite there yet and stuff like that, this is actually not the first time you submitted to the showcase, right? And so did the feedback you got last time actually help development and get you to this point? Because all of the feedback I saw from the judges was like, I remember seeing this and it's made so much more progress and this is awesome now. We're so happy to see this again. So just talk me through that process a bit.
Sure. So so to give like a little perspective, this project has been going on since not this previous fall, but the fall before that. So we're nearing on 2 academic years at this point. And one of the most consistent pieces of feedback that we got, that honestly, like, no offense to any judges who might have given us this feedback, it was feedback that we needed to hear. But people were like, they weren't seeing it. They were like, what does coffee have to do with anything? That was actually one of the biggest points of feedback that we got. A little frustrating at times because it was like, well, it's a proof of concept. But we were also like, okay, fine, we get it. It's not all there yet. And the answer to that question, we're kind of like trying to answer that. I think there are like 2 main things. Is that we are exploring that situation. Like this unique situation, a lot of the story wasn't written at that point. So we weren't really giving our players a lot of context, I feel. And we hadn't yet gotten all of the systems implemented that we wanted to get implemented. And also getting them like balanced. Because a big aspect of this was portraying and giving the player that sense of like how difficult it is to be in these situations with customers. And we have gotten that feedback like, whoa, that was maybe more stressful than I thought. And we kind of we finally hit that point of like, well, people are going to engage with this and are going to get the message. They're not going to say, well, what was that about? I don't understand why I'm doing coffee and what this has to do with trans people.
Yeah. And that definitely came through all the feedback too, was looking at all of the context now behind it, right? And it's not just looking at the mechanics now, but looking at the overall narrative that your team was able to put forth, and it really shone, and it was awesome. So thank you for giving us that experience.
Well, thank you so much for playing it. I'm thrilled everyone enjoyed it so much.
Cool. All right, Sten, you're on.
All right. So next up, we have my favorite person at IGM. Hands down, without a doubt, my favorite person at IGM is, in fact, Austin Willoughby. Hey, Austin.
Sten, it's me, your favorite person.
You are my favorite person, right?
I appreciate you've been, saying that about everyone, but I know friend to friend that you truly mean it about me.
Yes, in this very moment, I do.
In this moment, right now, on live internet television. Okay, so I guess I can talk a little bit. So my category, as Sten has mentioned, was technical excellence. And technical excellence is kind of an interesting thing to pin down in the context of games, and then also games kind of in the academic field, just because for this showcase, we got submissions from capstone students all the way down to first and second years. And so we can't necessarily judge things based on, pure technical knowledge, but kind of more on attempts to make things as good as possible. And so trying to help me navigate those waters, I had a team of great judges. Akshay Ratchapudi, Jeff Bauer, Dan Singer, all IGM alum who have gone on to work for great and prestigious companies in the field of games. And so trying to figure out what made good technical excellence, we ended up landing on things like obviously interesting and novel implementations. So, does this game have something cool that it is doing technical wise? How valuable is that implementation? So if you do something really cool, but it took a lot of time and doesn't really help the game, then perhaps it's interesting, but not necessarily technical excellence for that game. Clarity of how clear those implementations are, scalability. So how easy will it be to take that thing and expand the game on top of it? Tools for impacting like development quality of life and development time, and then just, sheer quality of the work that's being done. And so we had a lot of great games, a lot of very impressive technical implementations, a lot of very unique implementations as well. And we had some very big teams, some very small teams, and a huge number of things to consider. But in the end, Sten, if you could unmute quickly and give me a bit of a drum roll if you're there. If not,
I am always here for you, Austin.
I appreciate that, my good friend. Our winner is The Shattering Swords by Bladesmiths. So we will get Kyle over in here to talk a little bit about The Shattering Swords. Kyle, hello.
Hello, Austin.
Congratulations. Your game was incredibly impressive for a number of reasons, which I'll talk about, and then we can talk a little bit about it. There were a number of things that you had submitted, things that you had kind of pointed us towards that we found very impressive, like your kind of damaging / damageable object management system, your use of like Unity's multi-scene editing system and the tools built on top of that. And then also just in general, tremendously well commented and organized code, which is a rarity on any student team, but especially on one of the size of Bladesmiths. And then also just like incredibly clear documentation, all of which point towards technical excellence. So I guess I have a few questions for you, but if you'd like, first off, if you want to talk a little bit about the game and kind of sell it to all the fans at home.
Sure. The Shattering Swords is pretty much a third-person action game, sort of in the vein of a Dark Souls style, like slow plotting affair. But the selling point is basically you have a magical shattering sword that can change its shape into sort of multiple forms based on gemstones you collect. Maybe if I like lean my head to the side, you can see we've got one of those. That's our sapphire sword, which is really fast, sort of short katana, but we've got like a big ruby two-handed sword, and we've got our topaz sort of in the middle one-handed sword. And you use these weapons to defend your village, which has been attacked by some creatures that have been summoned with the power of a fourth gem, the amethyst, and you defeat these creatures and save your village, and then battle their leader and their summoner, who is another human like you, with their own sword. That's my pitch.
Very cool. I guess just leading from that and kind of talking about the game and the technical aspects of it, the game is obviously decently large in scope, and a lot of the systems that you have written were, at least seem to have been written with like scalability in mind, so that, if you guys wanted to add more swords, you could. If you wanted to, quickly put together new levels, you could. I know right now you only have the one, but the systems are all there to add more. Were those decisions intentionally made? And if so, like, were things pre-planned, like all the way at the beginning of the project, or have you kind of been doing things ad hoc as you've been going?
I'd like to think we planned a lot of it, just sort of because we dreamt big early on. We were like, oh, how many swords can we do? 5, 10. And then, our wonderful committee kept kind of slapping us back to reality on that. And so it just sort of, regardless, made sense in a game based around having multiple weapons to just kind of make that system scalable. Yeah, I'm sort of, my position is sort of on the game balance end, and we wanted to make it really simple to just sort of like, you can go into the editor and type a different number, and now the sword does more damage or takes longer to swing or stuff like that. So I think, yeah, we tried to make that happen, and it has.
Yeah, we definitely noticed it. I mean, you know, I had seen the game just going to the capstone playtests and things, but obviously none of the other judges had. But just looking at it and looking through the code and scrubbing through things, we were pretty impressed with, you know, how easy it seemed like. It seemed like even just on a light read through of the code, we felt like we could go in and make edits and would know what they were doing. So that's obviously something we don't see often in student projects, because student projects tend to be like rushed and with good reason. But yeah, we were very impressed with how all that was put together. And I'll just ask one more question. You are using this pretty impressive tool built on top of Unity's multi-scene editing system. One, how hard was that for you guys to get set up? And two, how much do you think it has eased future development of your project?
Okay, so for this one, I have to give all credit to Rudy Zhang on our team. He is kind of a wizard. Yeah, we've had other groups come over and see us because it just looks really official. They're like, where did you download that? And I'd say, yeah, it has made our lives immensely easier, just because our workflow is basically we make feature branches, and then we make copies of scenes and make edits in there. And so if anyone wants to test someone else's branch or anything like that, you've got to load up all the right scenes. And we were constantly asking each other, like, how do I know, like, did you change this? Do I need to load a different enemy scene? And instead of having to do all that, you just open up the multi-scene editor object, click load, and you have everything you need. Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing to have. And props to Rudy for doing that.
Yeah, it was very impressive. I think the four of us learned more things about Unity having looked at your project. So yeah, just very impressive all the way across the board. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
The next lead judge I would have been introducing would have been my favorite person at IGM, David Sanchez. But apparently David Sanchez has won the lottery and moved to Florida. So standing in for him, my truly most favorite person here at IGM, without a doubt, is Wheeze, Eloise Oizen. And she will be presenting David's category.
Is there a limit to how many favorites you can have?
No.
Just wondering. Okay. All right. I am standing in for David Sanchez. We would like to thank all the people who were on, who are judging this best in show category. That would include David, Rockstar, Mahi Gaming, and Jake Bentovim and Inga Valinta. I would like to invite the winner and then possibly embarrass them by talking about them to their face, about this winning game. And that would be, drumroll, Paper Planet. Hi, William. Let's see. I was not on the committee, but I can tell you that Paper Planet excelled in multiple categories, and that's the reason why you're here. On the game feel side, and I'm glad Stan is still here, I can speak to it was fast paced. I figured out what I was allowed to do, and it never stopped. It just, things kept happening. And then there are many moments where I just squeed because I did something that I thought was pretty epic. And the interface was such that I felt like I was progressing and I was doing something meaningful every step of the way. And I could do it in my own way. One of the things in Game Feel was the ability to express oneself through gameplay. And I feel like the way I play the game is going to be uniquely mine, and I can do it with my own flair. Stan, do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mentioned in
felt
my
your
category, aesthetics. We had three entries that we had a really tough time kind of deciding between, and Paper Planet was one of those as well. I mean, I think one of the testaments to your amazing work, William, is that yours and your teams is that you popped up in a few different categories. So that's part of the reason why you ended up in Best of Show. So I just want to tell you, congratulations. You guys did a great job.
Thank you so much.
What is your intent for Paper Planet? What did you want your players to feel, and where are you going to take it?
I think something that's very important for Paper Planet is kind of an expression of creativity. I think that's something that's very core to the gameplay and something that a lot of the mechanics work towards. I really want the players to feel like the runs of this roguelike are kind of theirs to express themselves in and choose items that they think will have interesting combinations. And I think that makes it so each time you play the game, it's different and interesting, and you play it in a slightly different way. As for where I'm taking it, in about 4 months, it will release on Steam, which is very exciting and also very nerve-wracking because I started this project in high school and it's been about 5 years now, and it's just mind-boggling to actually be close to finishing it. It's like, you can finish these things. So yeah.
Eventually, you're gonna stop polishing this and you're gonna get it out there, which is great.
Yep.
Let's see. I believe the demo is available on Steam right now. Is that correct?
Yep. The demo, which is the current in development build of the game, is available on Steam. So if you want to basically play what we've got so far, just go download the demo. It's free.
Let's see what else. You've been working on this since high school. That's quite a number of years. One of the things that set this game apart was the level of completion. Many of the things we looked at were demos, a couple of levels, and enough to get a full game loop. But yours, along with Vigorous, were much more complete. So clearly, kudos to you and your team for all the effort you've put in for quite a while.
Thank you. Yeah. You never know where game projects are going to lead you. They're these beautiful little seeds, and if you give them water and sunshine, they'll grow into something you might never expect. And that was Paper Planet for me. I didn't really have any grandiose ideas for where I was going to take it. I was just learning Unity in high school, and I just kept adding and adding to it, and I kept working on it. And now I'm here kind of at the end of its development, and it's just been a wonderful experience the whole time.
Is there a link there for your Discord for people to join the Paper Planet community?
There's a Discord in the demo if anyone wants to check that place out.
I know that in this process right now, you're still soliciting feedback, and there is a Paper Planet community that's really in there and helping this game to progress. And I have played the game. I would encourage other people to play the game in its demo session and pay for it when it comes out in a couple of months.
Thank you,
Thank
William.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Will you stick around? I want to talk to you for a second.
Do I have to?
Yeah, no, see, listen, here, I'm gonna tell you something real quick.
Okay, that I'm your favorite?
Low key, you're definitely my favorite. As far as I'm concerned, you are the fire. Just want to tell you that. I feel like you are the fire, as the kids like to say.
Okay, I'll keep that on the DL.
Don't tell anybody else I told you that. I mean, it's just that's between you and me.
All right.
But yeah, I just, the great thing about this show is, we're really trying to encourage our students to make games. I mean, we have students that are, all the students want to get a job in the game industry. And one of the things we tell them is the way you're going to get a job in the industry is to make games, not just in classes, to show your passion, go to game jams, do be making games all the time. And it doesn't matter if you're making good games, bad games, that's all part of the process. You know, you don't have to make the most amazing RPG to impress people. It's just the idea of working on games and being passionate about games. And I just really, this whole, you know, the showcase and leading up to it and watching looking at all the submissions, you know, it just gets all us as the faculty and staff at IGM gets us so excited. It makes us, you know, it's just such a great thing to see our students, you know, flowering into these amazing designers and developers. So I just want to thank everybody. I especially want to thank Lindsay Herkimer. She is the person that is really kind of the person behind the scenes, really kind of helping us and directing us and things like that. She is the head of the Student Success Task Force, which all of us are members of, and we really, really appreciate all of her help. Also, so a big thank you to our sponsors, and that is Rockstar New England, Santa Monica Studio, Epic Games, Epoch, Fram, and Mahi Gaming. And can't even tell you how much I appreciate you guys. Just a wonderful thing that you support the you know, student game community. And thank you guys for attending. Anybody that's watching, there is a link to a recorded version on the IGM YouTube page. You know, I just want to thank the students. The students are, you know, this is why we're here, and this is one of the things that is like a reward to us to see our students create these things and really, you know, just have the passion they have. So I really want to thank them. And of course, I want to thank the judges and sponsors. And we appreciate all of you guys, and we appreciate you out there in the audience for coming. So there you go. That is the end of the RIT Student Game Showcase, 4th edition, year 4, 2022. And Ben, if you don't cut me off, I'm just going to keep talking. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to keep saying stuff. Ba-da-ba-ba-da, da-da-da-da-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.